Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 New Orders America. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So Kennedy has secured himself 4 more years. I mean, what did he get? Got 340 last time against Bennett. This time he got 388. Look at all of these extra states that he won. I mean, he did lose, what states did he lose? He lost Michigan. And I think that's it. It's really just, like, all of these states switching is only worth 48 points because of Michigan. How much? You were 20? Okay. Fine. Either way, it was a complete smashing of the Democrats by Kennedy. 4 more years. Let's frickin' go. So how are we looking right now? Again, we're still equal. Things are looking good. Do not need to invest in administration. I don't think that's necessary right now. That at least is the way that I currently see it. What else we have to do? By the way, is market options. Okay, so you're automatically accepting, which is fine. We did put up a ton of equipment, a ton of weapons up on sale on the international market, because we just had so many that, you know, we could use this to maybe bolster our own, I guess, fuel silos is what we're building. I thought maybe we were doing something a little bit more impressive. You know what? Let's sell guns to build more hospitals. How does that sound for America? Justice Thurgood Marshall is confirmed. The man who once declared that you do what you think is right and let the law catch up will now sit on the most important judicial institution in the United States. In a decisive vote in the Senate today, Thurgood Marshall was confirmed as the newest Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Marshall will be the first African-American to serve on the court, and his confirmation is undoubtedly a victory for the civil rights movement, which he himself has worked tirelessly to advance. During his confirmation hearing, a number of conservative senators rallied against judicial activism and made a variety of statements that many commentators have called little better than dog whistles. Some even asked whether or not Marshall had ties to American Bolsheviks. The strategy failed, however. At a press conference today, Justice Marshall stated his gratitude to the Senate and to the people of America, before posing for a picture with his 2 sons and his wife, the civil rights activist Cecilia Suyat Marshall. This is a truly historic moment for the nation, representing a triumph of justice over institutionalized racism. So Marshall will now be appointed as the first African-American justice, and that should mean that we now have a liberal Supreme Court. Maybe this isn't updated yet. It still says 5-4, which I'm assuming Marshall is not a conservative. Maybe. Multi-poverty rate is decreasing, so we actually can't even do actions against poverty right now. What is inflation at right now? 9.03. So it has gone down by 0.3%, which I mean is not like super great, but it's better than nothing. And these new units for now. Why is Purple Army here? Wait. Where are you guys deployed? You're here. You're here. Purple Army should actually be under this army. And then you can go here as well. Or are you stationed in Europe? Wait, 1 second. Okay, delete this. Delete all your old orders. Your job right now is just defend a various areas here. Oh, they're the army that was in Switzerland. Okay, that actually doesn't matter to me that much. We can bring those boys home. Okay, so sit with Chavez. Democrats will trust us less if we go through with this. That's fine. We will then reprimand the police. We'll see how this goes. And presumably we will get an event regarding Chavez soon, who is a prominent American labor activist. France, is there anything I can do? Wait, before I do this. 73 days. I want to make sure we're not missing something here. Because what do we got in total for you? 87.5. I think when you're finished, that'll boost you back up to 100%. And that should... West Africa's been shattered once more. What seems to many as the most likely candidate for Russian unification has fallen after disastrous invasion of the Finnish puppet state Onega. After a long and hard battle, the Finns and the Russian allies consolidated control over the West and established a Northern Russian Republic, establishing control over the rest of the region through client states. Interesting. So we now have... Oh god, they've actually split into a ton of smaller territories here as well. We got the Northern Russian Republic. They are guaranteed by the country named Finland, as you may have heard. Is there anything I want to do here? I mean, I don't know if I actually want to give them even any more guns. Because I have been spending a lot of money, which is, like, not great. Iberia is still kind of hanging in there. And now either Northern Russian Republic. The Arsenal, Finnish dependency is currently at high. They've got the Anti-Fascist Committee. I mean, all that's really is going to do is going to allow other countries to kind of clean this up pretty quickly, right? Like, what are they going to do? But now that... Okay, you haven't finished quite yet. But in 2 days, I believe it'll have a higher average than... It'll have a higher average. Right, 1 day. Consolidation is at 91.25. Is that not done yet? Does it need to be at 100? Our plans for enter economic reconstruction, holding consolidation progress of at least 90% will guarantee success for our plans. Current progress at 91.25. Facts will not complete within 61 days. West African sphere will be consolidated under our influence. Okay, so we just had to hold out for 60 days. Which is fine. And if we need to put more money into military projects, I will do so. Sitting down with Chavez. RFK has traveled to Los Angeles, California to meet with labor leader and Marxist activist Cesar Chavez, a leader of the Latino American civil rights community and organizer for the poorly paid and treated farm workers of California. His influence within the National Progressive Pact is huge, and so it's imperative that the president work with Chavez if he wants to get his agenda through Congress. Of course, it would be tricky to work with Chavez, who's positioned himself to the left of even Bobby Kennedy. He may see the president as not doing enough or going too slow in his efforts to reform the American economy and society. And with hundreds of thousands of supporters throughout the United States, but focused especially on the Southwest, his influence could sink or swim in the efforts to reform America. But only way to get the Chavez support is to talk to him and to convince him. And Chavez supports the president. After an hour-long meeting between RFK and Cesar Chavez, the labor leader has given a short speech to reporters and announced that he supports the president's goals and agenda. While I cannot deny that there are always more to be done to improve the lives and rights of Latinos and all Americans, Chavez told the reporters, I believe that President Kennedy has our best interests at heart and will fight for all workers. This is just a small step on the way to true equality and justice, but we support the president's efforts to advance our rights. This was the best outcome possible for the meeting, and now many labor leaders among progressive supporters are vocally supporting RFK's new acts and laws, as Chavez's full-throated endorsement is just the sign that they needed. Well, I am happy to have their support. Once again, we are a fervent supporter here. Campaign for civil rights. What does this actually do for us? I want to, as soon as the game's done, figuring out how it needs to do. More divided, becomes seen as more liberal. Okay. Well, how are things actually looking here? Base rate of 0%. Trade unions all allowed is currently maxed out. Work programs are getting better. These things are all kind of neutral. Conscription is going down. Honestly, that's probably good for us. Minimum wage, work hours, pensions, and unemployment, all these things are improving. Penal system's improving. Education's improving. Security's improving. Industrial regulations. Everything is going pretty well. I mean, I don't think I've actually really looked too much down here. Poverty rate's going down by 0.15%. And I don't think we can do anything with this. It'll just kind of show us what's there. But overall, America is on the up and up. And I'm happy to be a part of it. Global conflict's active. I mean, it's not really conflict, but you know what I mean. But yes, we'll do another combat Pan-Africanist rebels. Just to increase support. That'll be done in 30 days. And with that, that should fully secure our position, assuming that nothing bad has happened. Okay, polls have updated one last time. Progressives are at 35. Yeah, so basically the same numbers. 57 for the MPP, 41 for the RDC. So that's good. Good for us. Good for us. I'm happy with where we're positioned electorally. I think we're in a good spot for sure. Now with 147 political power, what do we want to do? Okay, also the chief. Okay, we can remove this. Fight against poverty. I think we do want to do this. We'll spend more money. We'll get more stability. A little bit more conservative. Inflation will increase by 1.5%. GDP will increase by 1.5%. It seems more liberal. But we need to reduce poverty. So we're going to spend a lot of points on this right now. We're still seen as equal. We're still seen as progressive. So I'm happy with that. Extra infantry can just go in the Purple Army for right now because they're the guys that are just, for the most part, just hanging out across America, doing what needs to be done. And I'm happy to have them here. Yeah, so 20 days, 44 days. This will be done very, very soon. And then after that, I'm trying to think, like, what are other conflicts that are going to happen? I know that there are the oil wars. And I believe that happens in, like, 1971, I want to say. But aside from that, like, what other major conflicts are still going to occur on the world stage? Like, I don't think China's going to erupt into a civil war that we can intervene in. Our speech backfired. I mean, that's not good. Does this backfire no matter what? I don't know. Like, I don't think India is going to explode into conflict. I mean, I guess there's also the Iranian civil war as well. But again, I think that's still... that also takes place during the oil crisis. So it's kind of all tied in together. The RFK's police speech backfires. President Kennedy's recent speech in regards to policing in America has drawn a mixed reaction, to say the least. The documenting of corruption, abuses, racism, and violence by the men in blue from coast to coast has been well received and applauded by civil rights leaders, victims of police brutality, and those who have spent their careers trying to investigate the kickbacks, bribes, property seizures, and more that happens every day, and how police unions protect bad cops and punish those who speak out. But the speech has also outraged from across the nation. Many citizens are considering what the president said as little more than slander, pitting all cops in the nation as based on a few bad apples. Police unions from New York to Los Angeles are in an uproar, denouncing the president and vowing to use their resources to support politicians that actually give a damn about the police and public safety. Even in the National Progressive PAC, RFK has received major blowback. Some of the Nationalist Congress have denounced the president, saying that he's not patriotic enough to support those that preserve law and order. Some have even shifted their loyalty from the NPP to the Republicans in response. Meanwhile, some members of the Progressive Caucus, especially those that are really more concerned with the threat posed by outside nations such as Japan and fascism than civil rights in America, are moving into the nationalist camp, thinking that the president has gone too far. After all, police forces from the FBI to county sheriffs have been busy trying to root out the dangers of spies and agitators. But it's not helping to have their methods and motives questioned. Needless to say, the speech has done a lot to expose the bad aspects of the men and the slowly increasing number of women who police the nation and their power, but the political cost of Bobby Kennedy could have been much stronger than he could have anticipated. Okay, the police force will be reminded of their duty, increase security, and increase gender rights. Urban voters will become more Democratic and Republican and become more conservative, which is fine. Now, I presume, I don't know if this is actually true or not, but I wonder if those events are based on these numbers. Like, if we are too supportive of the unions, maybe they will not believe us. But maybe I'm also missing something. I might be wrong on that. But let's get our National Labor Relations Act. Very, very happy to see it. And yet, you're just going to be telling us more about the military situation in West Africa. But it should, at this point, be secured. That'll be done in 13 days. I mean, you know what? Fuck it. We have so many guns, just in case. I don't know if it'll matter, but on the off chance that it does, we'll send some more rifles there as well. Let's go for flexible accommodation techniques. It's a 1970 tech, and we're only a year ahead of time, so it seems, you know, pretty reasonable to me to get that going. How is the economy? Deficit is at negative 2.7. So I am happy to see this. With this arsenal, we can wipe out 59% of humanity. Well, as long as we're only wiping out, you know, the other people, then that's fine. Yeah, but luckily, inflation is going down. We might need to do another round of austerity afterwards. Is there anything we can do to increase this? Other revenue, 0.3 billion. Social expenditures, war taxes. I mean, we could create money. But again, is there a reason to? The interest at 1.6%. Honestly, that's very reasonable. The fact that interest at 1.6 and inflation is at like 9% is basically free money. It basically is free money to take out loans right now. Hawkishness withers. I mean, we're becoming where is it here? Like, all of these are starting to take down. I mean, people still trust the government, which is nice. But people like are just not really concerned with military situations anymore, which I mean is fair. Let's go like 160 on this. I mean, it's fair. We're not engaged in any wars right now. We don't need hawkishness to be that crazy high, and I don't even know where there would be another war to really to get involved in. Foreign policy. It'll be done in 26 days. We'll actually be at 100% for both, which maybe allows us to finish this early. I'll have to kind of see. The Stockholm Conference. For the first time in what seems like ages, several representatives of the United States and the German Reich have gathered without a firefight breaking out or the threat of nuclear annihilation, dangling ever closer to reality. The conference is meant to serve as a means of detente and a warming of relations. Though for the men who will be attending, the tension is seemingly more palpable than ever. If the conference goes well, both sides seek to benefit from the increased cooperation. A poor result, however, could lead to a rather sharp escalation of the conflict between the two sides. Meeting in the capital of neutral Sweden, the president and the Führer exchanged brief, meaningless pleasantries in the public eye before continuing into the building that had been set aside for the conference. The United States would speak first, setting the terms for what they deem necessary for increased cooperation between themselves and the German Reich. The Germans would respond in kind, and as such, the conference went well. At first, as the two sides made minor concessions and avoided discussion of the South African War. Eventually, however, the United States delegation made a proposal that would require more consideration than the previous one had. The Americans wanted the Germans to consent to give their president a direct line to the Führer for a quick action in times of the crisis. The German delegation quickly began to discuss the matter amongst themselves. How will the Germans respond? Well, I mean, we don't need to discuss South African War, my friends. It's long over. But presumably that is something they probably could have done substantially earlier, which is probably why it actually pops up at all, because it doesn't know what the war is actually finished. But I mean, I guess you could argue that it's talking about the ramifications of that war. Germans delay hotline installation. When we proposed that the Germans install hotlines to the White House, we were not expecting much resistance from Germania. After all, it was practically a non-concession. Both sides had nothing to lose by it, and everything to gain. And yet somehow Bormann had managed to turn the issue into a debate. Despite our insistence on the importance of the issue, Germans had refused to commit to a hotline, merely saying that such a thing could be a possibility in the future if the situation permits. While this may mean that they are willing to broach the issue once relations are normalized, it could also mean that they are unwilling to commit to detente. Should we press them for an answer? Yes, we will insist on a direct line. It has immediately failed. Okay. The president meticulously explained, for what seemed like the 100th time, why the two countries were in a desperate need of a hotline between them. The Hawaiian Missile Crisis was cited as a need to respond quickly if Japan was to make a move against either of them. If the two countries did not have the means to work together, the alliance would fall apart. The president was sure Bormann had finally been convinced. He almost seemed to be nodding slightly, as if in agreement. When he gave his response to the translator, the president did not hear a single 9 in there. Instead, what the translator said was, the Führer would now like to discuss the status of embargo between our two nations. In response to this, the president, consciously or not, expressed a few choice sentiments to the German Führer. The American translator, keen to avoid sparking a nuclear war, chose not to pass these sentiments on to Bormann. Nonetheless, it seemed to have gotten the gist of what the president said. Before anyone could say anything more, the German leader had made several bold declarations about the legitimacy of the conference and the American intentions. All was silent in the room for a few minutes, both delegations too stunned to act. Finally, Huell spoke, his voice somewhat weak. Is it possible we could make use of such a hotline conditional? The conference did not continue long after that. What a mess. They don't want a phone? Like, what's the problem, Germany? Hey, okay, so we don't actually need to wait for this because we can now press this button. Declare Reconstruction complete. Hard years, arid years. The automobiles kicked up dust on the new highways in the arid lands beyond the city limit. Dry jungle boughs waved broad-leaf salutes to any signs of a breeze. Up high and against the clear noon sky, the steel column arose from the ground, holding its tremendous round Coca-Cola sign. It stands bright red with the company's signage. The farmer stood in the shadow, looking right and left before spitting at it. It had been a hard year for West Africa. He saw his sons go to war, returning home in caskets draped with the in the tricolor. Farmhands went away to serve, never be seen again. The land, arid though it was, displayed its gifts of tidings to ease the burdens of grief. That too was being taken away from him. He turned his head eastwards towards the city of Bamako, growing, exceeding all the riches of the land. He saw the new roads packed with people from other villages, new buildings stamped with the signage of American companies. He shook his head. How did it come to this? He saw the soldiers dig into the reservoirs of the earth, diverting it to the plantations. In their eyes was a dull blaze of idle disdain. Their ears met his complaints with deaf ignorance. He sighed. Inching forward little by little, he walked to the city. The things we sacrificed for a living. Hey, but you gotta have a nice, cool, crisp bottle of Coca-Cola. And how could you say, no, I'll even give you a nice, crisp bottle of Coke Zero. I would say the superior drink, but some people may not like it. Okay, so you're all in the West African Alliance. Now, again, I don't know exactly what that does for us. They're not even, like, observer states right now. But, you know, we have completed our construction in South Africa, and we don't have any foreign entanglements right now. There's nothing going beyond our border that we actually care about at this exact moment in time. But I will say with that, it's going to be a good time for the end of this episode. So if you have enjoyed, remember to thumbs up. Not how to do it, always thumb down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.